And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
I'm always looking for new and original ideas when it comes to games, and some ideas, though, they're tried and true. You see them time after time, and this is certainly one that I've seen in several games, and that would be the theme of Living Labyrinth. Basically, you're trying to get through a maze to the other side. The idea of getting from one place to another place is nothing new, and in this game, with the rotating and moving of tiles, again, that's nothing new. We've seen it in Haunting House, although Haunting House completely ruined the idea by adding some random elements to it. We've seen it in games called Labyrinth. We've seen it in other games. I wasn't really thinking, wow, they've shaken the world here, but it's still, the idea of a maze interests me. I love mazes, so I was certainly willing to give this game a look. Let's look and see what's inside the box. Here we have a look at the board. The board is actually randomly made. The only tile that's not random is this tile that's in the middle, but the rest of the tiles are basically put out in a 5x5 grid in various ways. You see there's not too many different kinds of tiles. There's straight tiles, there's tiles with a single curve on them, there are tiles with a double curve on them, there are T tiles, and then there are tiles that are shaped that go basically in all four directions. And those are the different kinds of tiles that are involved in the game. The original setup is not really that important. Each player takes a goal of their color and places it across from a piece of their color. Although, oddly enough, I'm not sure that these are the same color, green and purple, but I'll have a purple piece. I'll replace the game piece with that. All the other pieces match, mostly. Anyway, your object is to get from one side to the other side, and the gameplay is very simple. You start your piece on a path that's on the tile, and on your turn, you must move that piece. You can move, if you have to move it backwards, you have to move it sideways, so be it. The only time you can't move your piece is, for example, you see the red piece here. This path is blocked. There's no way for him to move, so he doesn't have to move because he can't. You have a deck of cards that's in the game, and each player will have several of these cards in their hand on their turn. You may play one card and then move, or you may move and then play two cards, each time drawing back up to your full hand. Now, these cards are basically what makes the game. These cards will let you take tiles and rotate them 90 degrees, or sometimes 180 degrees. They'll let you flip tiles. They will let you exchange tiles. They'll let you move the goals tiles. They'll let you do several things like moving a pawn or moving someone else's pawn one space along a path. There's really not a whole lot of originality here. You're just trying to use these tiles and move them to get your piece where you want it to be. Flip this tile in the middle. Flip it to block someone else. Move their goal where you don't, so that it's harder for them to get to it. Rotate a tile to help you. Now, this game is going to be a very interactive one because while each player could concentrate on getting themselves to their goal quickly, eventually it's going to come to the point where you're going to want to stop your opponent. The game even has a card that's directly works in this manner, and it's called the Nope card. I don't think so. Discard. Basically, you play this card in response to a card that another player plays, and they can no longer play it. However, they can play a Nope card to block your Nope card, and so on and so forth, and there can be quite the chain reaction. And you'll be playing cards that move pieces, especially when someone gets to the other goal. So let's say blue is, trotting along pretty fine, and they're at this spot here. Well, we know that in only a few moments they're going to get to their goal over there, so we'll move their goal. We'll rotate tiles, and all the other players will work against them. And so the end game of this Living Labyrinth can kind of be boring in a sense because I'm almost to the goal, so all the other three players will attack me. The next player is almost to the goal, so let's all rotate tiles and move tiles to stop him, and so on and so forth until eventually nobody can move anymore. The deck also has entirely too many Nope cards in it that stop someone else. The deck is not that large to begin with. There is only 63 cards, and 11 of those cards are Nopes. That's almost 1 out of 6, or actually it's more than 1 out of 6 cards, and that's just too many, I think, to be saying Nope. The idea of moving around is interesting. It takes a whole lot longer to get across than you might think, but the game itself takes about 30 minutes to play. Now, one thing that's very impressive about the game is the thickness of the tiles. Here is just 6 tiles, and just look how thick that is. These are some of the thickest, nicest tiles. They're laminated. It's really good quality. The pawns themselves, well, they're just basically little discs, the gold tiles. The cards are decent cards. I don't mind the artwork on them. And I like the artwork on the whole thing with the animals and how the whole thing fits together. And kids will especially enjoy that. But reading these cards is a real pain. You can read it pretty well there. Any tile, touching this tile, your pawn is on. Rotate 90 degrees. But every single card in the deck looks the exact same. And so you're constantly squinting, and I know they wanted to give you this jungle look, but the cards are just not as functional as I'd like them to be. Although they are decent quality, pretty thick, easy to handle. Like I said, the game isn't bad. It's just that it doesn't seem to offer anything new, and that end game really slows things down. I think if I'm going to play the game again, I'm going to take 5 of the nope cards and just throw them out because there's just too many. I like the idea of stopping someone else, but it got to the point near the end of the game when someone's about to win, there's 3 other players, and you play the card saying, all right, play your nopes, and someone plays a nope. All right, play another nope, and someone plays a nope. And you draw your hand back up, and you eventually get someone who gets to play, and everyone else doesn't have any nopes. So while I don't think the game is a bad one, I think it's going to be more geared towards kids who will like this going back and forth, but even they might find the end game tedious. It's good production value, it's a good start, but I think the game could have been designed and developed a little bit further before being produced to what we have now. It's not bad, but I'm not probably going to play it again.
Thanks for joining us today. For more written, audio, and video reviews, as well as the #1 board game podcast, check out the website at www.thedicetower.com. Until then, this is Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.